Well, it looks like we have a new Maxfind FF. This time is the FF Pro. If you haven't watched any of my previous Maxfind FF reviews, well, you can click somewhere in here. I put links in the description down below. Go watch them at any time, and then you can come back and watch this video, since these boards are actually quite similar. When it comes to the design of the Maxfind FF Pro, little has changed. Basically, the only main difference is that the battery compartment is a lot bigger now compared to the previous versions. Well, that's because we do have a much bigger battery that is supposed to give you a lot more range, but everything else is about the same. So we have the grip tape that is very unique from Maxfind, in which you can literally pass your hand around it because it's not sandpaper. Instead, they use an anti-slippery rubber material that keeps your feet in place. Now, the only complaint I have about that is that they don't go all the way to the edge, and that's exactly where the feet tends to put the most amount of pressure. So it would have been nice if they could have go all the way to the edge. Other than that, this let's call it grip tape. It is a grip tape actually. It's actually pretty good. I like it. And I like the fact that you can like just put your hands on it and it's easier to clean. And yeah, generally speaking, it's just very nice. The other thing that I like about this design is that we have a handle on the nose. I mean, how hard can this be to do that nobody else do it? I mean, kudos for Maxfind to try to innovate every step of the way. So yeah, a handle is very useful. I mean, I know you can hold it from the tracks, but in this case, you can also just hold it from the handle. It's more comfortable, it's cleaner. The tracks tend to get dirty. So yeah, talking about the tracks, double kingpin tracks. I'll talk a little bit more about the performance of these tracks in a moment. Now let's talk about the deck itself. It is of a PVC composite material. I'm not sure exactly what material it is. It's definitely not bamboo or fiberglass like most other e-skates. You can see that it's very slim on the center. The EAC is kind of like hidden in there. The only kind of thing that shows a little is the battery compartment, which by the way is not a compartment, it's all one piece. So if you go over big puddles of water, if it gets splashed from the bottom, nothing will ever happen to the board. The battery will never get wet, neither the EAC. It's all fully covered. There is also here a cover for the port where you charge it. So yeah, it's very secure when you go over water in wet roads. That's great. And the other big advantage of this composite material is that it's very flexible. It's not just flexible that like you get a little bit of flex, but it's the way it absorbs vibration. It really is something special on that regard. So if you live in an area where the roads are bad, there are a lot of cracks on the road on the way, or just the pavement is just very bad quality. This board is actually great for that, since it really absorbs the vibrations on the road. Okay, let's go for a ride. I'll tell you later how is the performance on the FF Pro. We have 1000 watts dual hub hobby wing motors. The performance on this board is decent, but at this price point, this is not the most powerful board you can get for around $700. There are some other boards that they have a little bit more power, but like I say, it's decent. It's enough power to have a lot of fun and commute everywhere you want. I managed to get somewhere around 38 kilometers per hour out of the 45 kilometers per hour that they claim. So yeah, it felt a little bit short, and that's probably because I am quite heavy. I'm a heavy rider. Even so, I tend to ride very aggressive, so I will try to push the board all the time. I couldn't go anywhere over 38 kilometers per hour. Now let's talk a little bit about these motors. Hobby wing motors, what does that mean? And hub motors, let me show you. So basically the motor is inside the wheel, which means that you have certain limitations when it comes to replacing wheels. So for example, the wheels on the front and belt motors, what happen is that you can just take the wheel and put any wheel you want, pretty much any wheel you want. But with hub motors, you need to find a sleeve. And a sleeve is basically the outside of the wheel that just perfectly fits into those motors. Now, the cool thing about Hobbywing hub motors, so the brand of motors is Hobbywing, is that it's more standardized on top of being really good, and because of that reason, there are companies that make wheels specifically for these motors. So you have PU wheels 90mm, you have the original wheels here from Maxfind that are a little bit bigger, if I'm not mistaken, they're 96mm, and you also have pretty much all of the clad wheels that are available for longboards. So you have the Rovers, you have the Galaxy, and you have the Discovery. Now, I did try the Galaxy 105mm, which are one of my favorite wheels, one of the best wheels you can possibly get for eskate. So it's great that you can use them on this board. Now, keep in mind that these wheels have this concave design that makes it really good while going over wet roads. So you're not gonna slip and have an accident, so you don't want that, obviously. And also they're very grippy in general, and they feel very comfortable as well. So they feel a lot more comfortable in combination with this deck. Well, it's a big deal. I really recommend this wheel. If you haven't watched the review, you can click somewhere in here. I also put a link in the description down below. If you want to buy these wheels, I also add some links in the description. I don't have affiliate with this company, but still, I put a link. I actually recommend this wheel because I like them, not because I'm trying to make some money out of you. I actually like the wheels. By the way, since we have Hobbywing motors, we also have Hobbywing ESC and a Hobbywing remote control. And this is one of the nicest Hobbywing remote control I've seen at this price point. It has a nice grip to it. So they cut up here, this area, so you can rest your finger, 1 or 2 fingers, up to you. For me, it's just 1 finger, and it perfectly, my hand perfectly wrapped around the remote very nicely. We do have a small screen here with all the basic information, like the battery remaining in both the board and the remote, the speed, the direction of the board, the gear, the odometer, and the trip distance. Now the wheel action feels very smooth. By the way, can you hear that? It's very silent. That's because, yeah, it's a Hobbywing motor. It's a Hobbywing motor. So it means that it's very silent. And Hobbywing also means that the ESC is very smooth. So when I accelerate and brake, there is no jerkiness. There is not this like bumping all over the place. No. This is very smooth and nice. So yeah, it's very highly recommended for any beginner to start with the Hobbywing. And actually experienced riders also like Hobbywing, because who doesn't like smoothness while riding, right? So this board is called Pro, and it's called Pro for a reason. It's definitely not the power, because it didn't got much more powerful than the previous Maxfind FF, but it does have a much bigger battery that will give you much more range. So with the Maxfind FF series, I always kind of like struggle a little when it comes to range, especially with the original Maxfind FF AT, that the range was really bad. It was somewhere like around maybe 9 kilometers. Then with the belt version, the Maxfind FF belt. I got a little bit more. I got somewhere around maybe 16, 18, so that's already okay. With this one, I'm getting somewhere around 20 plus kilometers of range. On top of that, let's take a look at this. We do have a replaceable battery, same as all the other FF boards. So you can see how easy I can access the battery compartment. Now there is a cable attached to the battery, just pull that out, and that's about it. And then you are ready to go. Now, one little thing about this little compartment is that even so it looks very nice, and it is on top of the board, which is kind of better in a way, because if you are ever going to encounter water on the road, it's going to be, well, on the part underneath the board. Well, in this case the cover is on the top, so water doesn't go in. But if it's rainy, well, water might go in, and specifically here you can see there is a small gap right in there, so I'm not sure how waterproof it is from the top. Even so, unless you don't ride on rainy days, it won't matter. As a matter of fact, it's pretty good. The other thing I want to talk about here are the tracks. We have dual kimping tracks, double kimping tracks it is. They feel very, very smooth, excellent for carving, and they have a pretty damn good turning ratio. So turning with this board is really easy, comfortable, and yeah, also carving is a lot of fun. And I've been riding quite a lot with this board, and I tend to carve a lot, but the one thing that I really like is just the turning ratio. Being able to turn in the city with a board that it is this big. So it's a deck that is slightly bigger than some other longboards. Well, it's very comfortable for me, being a relatively tall person. I'm 5'10". So yeah, the whole geometrics of this board and the tracks all feels really good. So in conclusion, the Maxfind FF Pro, it is an interesting offer from Maxfind. It does offer very good range, and also with the possibility to replace the battery. So imagine what will happen if you have two more of these batteries in your backpack. You can get something like a range of maybe 80, 90 kilometers, which is pretty insane for a longboard. And the other thing that this board really excels is at being comfortable. It is very smooth going over bad terrain, especially in roads with bad pavement, even with the stock wheels, don't even mention with the Galaxy wheels. So it comes recommended. There is a link in the description down below. I'll make sure to offer a discount for you guys so you can enjoy the best possible price. Okay, that's it for me. Adios amigos.